Let's get ready to race. It's semi-final number 2 here at ESL R1, and we are underway. Sebastian Job has to defend on the way towards turn 1. Nikodem Rizdeski decides to just play it cool and hold on to second. Around the outside goes Bono House as he takes third place. Yuri Toman and Josh Rogers go side by side for fourth further back as it's free wide for 6th place. Mal's very much involved. Through the middle's Kaiki Oliveira. Around the outside, it's a great start from Jeffrey Rietveld into the Mercedes arena. They make a lot of contact. It's still free wide off the turn, and into the grass goes one of the Mouse drivers, catches it. Oh, and now there's contact. There's the deal sealed, and one of the Mouse drivers unfortunately will be out here in semi-final number 2. What a dramatic start.
Yeah, it's Kasdorp. Kasdorp would be the one that got spun around and all of that. Just highly dramatic in all of that. Big send from Jeffrey Rietveld. Got pinched in there as well. The contact took them out of to the outside of the circuit. It's been a disaster start for Mouse. Yuri Kasdorp definitely out of proceedings. Moritz Lerner having to defend from Kevin Siggy and James Baldwin. But what an absolutely insane start. As there's contact in the background as Kevin Siggy manages to push off James Baldwin, who'll surely be seething inside that Mercedes.
I would think so. After that, he was pushed straight onto the gravel, but Siggy will, of course, argue that he was going for a gap that just wasn't there. What a start, by the way, for Jeffrey Rietveld. Speaking of Team Redline, Rietveld got a slowdown in qualifying. He's made up 4 places on the opening lap. That is remarkable at any circuit. Never mind the Nürburgring. Johan Hartmann made up 1 place. Kaiki Oliveira is roughly where he started this one, just outside the top 6. Unfortunately, it's not been a very good start for Miles, but Jeffrey Rietveld has had a wonder start there.
Yeah, truly incredible. Honestly, to get into that position already on the first lap, I don't think anyone was predicting that one post-race. The outrageous send to have made that one 3 wide. Brilliant stuff and opportunistic driving from the Dutchman. Would probably ideally want to pick up another couple of spots to make that one secure, as Johan Harth is looking to put himself into 7th position, looking down the inside of touch from Kaiki Oliveira. As we can see, Moritz Lerner also closing in. I mean, this is the thing, is that if you're going to make those positions, we saw it from Yuri Kasdorp yesterday, you have to do them early. If you leave it to too late in the race, you will not make those moves up.
Oh, yeah. Hard knows that right now, doesn't he? Late on the brakes there into turn 3, very nearly into the back of Kaiki Oliveira, the Brazilian. He's just on the back of another one of the BMWs, that's Jeffrey Rietveld. Then in 5th place is Yuri Toman. Josh Rogers is up to 4th off the start. Bono House is up to 3rd. In a great performance from the Mercedes driver, Nikodem Rizdeski and Sebastian Job lead the race at the moment. But this is the all-important part of the battle. Jeffrey Rietveld holding on to 6th place at the moment. He'll have some defending to do throughout this race. There's still a very long way to go.
Yeah, certainly so. As the fastest lap being set from Sebastian Job, trying to pull out a decent margin on Nikodem Wisniewski, tight margins all the way down. As we can see, Jeffrey Rietveld, I mean, the thing that we were seeing before, obviously we've seen this throughout the season before, like the tyres on the BMW go off quite quickly. I have noticed around here, the Audi also does its tyres in quite significantly. It's what makes Yuri Toman actually so strong around here, because he's so good at looking after his tyres. There's a look to the outside. I mean, how good's this? Leaves it on the inside. I don't know if they don't know if they're 3 wide or whatever, but you know, it's being pushed to its limit. If you're 3 wide through there, that's what's going to happen.
The last bit of contact there, I think, was Yuri Kasdorp's fault. Went straight to the side of his teammate Moritz Lerner. But for me there, Rietveld, it was a very similar situation to what we had at Gamers 8, wasn't it? Rietveld has basically, in my opinion, taken the corner almost to the racing line. He's given enough space for Oliveira, maybe just. He's certainly not accounted for Yuri Kasdorp on the outside there. Didn't give enough room, in my opinion, for the cars on the outside. And that race control will surely be looking at everything that happened on turn 1, because the bottom 7 or so, 7 or 8, were absolutely at each other's throats there in the opening lap of this one. That will be sorted out in race control, of course, but in my opinion, Rietveld has played it pretty close to the line in terms of what was legal there.
Got the race leader there on the right-hand side, Sebastian Job, at the moment sitting in 1st place. I do agree, by the way, you can definitely see it from the above angle that we got there. It's all about, you know, when does the track end? Because from a theoretical point of view, the track ends at the white line. Although this is the Nürburgring after all, so, you know, who knows? But, you know, if the track ends at the white line, then he's not really given room to for Kaiki Oliveira to remain on the race circuit. It's kind of how you see it from that point of view. I absolutely agree. I think there was enough room for 1 car, but maybe not 2, but maybe that's the risk we take from being 3 wide. Basically, we're not in race control, so thankfully that's someone else's problem. Here is Kaiki Oliveira. Is known on the team for being an absolute machine, hyper-focused. Well, he needs that right now if he's going to pick up an extra position and get his way back past Jeffrey Rietveld. Yes, it might be dealt with post-race. He doesn't want to wait till post-race. He wants to deal with it now.
No, and I would deal with it now. It's a very different situation, isn't it, to what we saw with Darren McCormack in the last race. McCormack, all he had to do was give that position over to Bennett, and that was easy. But who's Rietveld going to give the position over to? He's not going to give it to Kastrup, is he? Or Oliveira, he was involved. Would you do that? You know, is there going to be a penalty post-race? You know, there's a lot to work out here, and it's not as simple as the one for McCormack was. I don't think so. It's a difficult one to call to make. I think you're absolutely right. Kaiki Oliveira is just going to worry about this race and this race only, as if almost nothing has happened preceding this one. He's just going to go for it in the final 5 laps, no matter what. Out of the final corner they go right now. Top 4 getting away, really. It's Joe Wisniewski, House and Rogers, who are feeling pretty safe to get into another final.
Bono's the one that set the fastest lap in all of that. Sits 6/10 off the rear end of Nikodem Wisniewski, who I've known Nikodem for a long time. I've battled Nikodem Wisniewski in a championship before. I know that he will absolutely go for a move if one is even remotely on the horizon. So as much as we saw, you know, maybe not anything too bold in the previous race for Maximilian Benneker on Jamie Fluke, I think we will see something potentially from Wisniewski on Sebastian Job. Maybe he's a different driver now. Who knows? That was a few years ago.
Just a few, about 7. But yes, I mean, we would have expected that from Max Benneker as well, wouldn't we, in the first semi-final? And that didn't quite materialise. So I'm not entirely sure. Maybe Benneker was thinking about Monza and the fact that he didn't make it through to the final because of a move that he didn't need to make. Well, I suppose he would have got points for it, but didn't really need to make. Would have gotten into the final and so on. You know, maybe he was thinking a little bit about that, but even so. I think we are going to see a stalemate at the front for the moment as we have a look at James Baldwin. He's very close to Kevin Siggy here. You don't often see moves into this left-hander, and Baldwin knows that as well. He backs out of it on the way in towards turn 10 on that occasion. Still very close from Rietveld on backwards, really. There's a similar situation again. 7 drivers fighting for that last spot inside the top 6.
What are we making at the start of the season, though, for James Baldwin? Obviously, got into the semi-finals at Monza, did not get through into the final, got knocked out in the quarters in the previous 2 races, looking to get knocked out in the semi-finals once more, 4 rounds into the season, halfway in, and we are yet to see Baldwin into a final. Weirdly enough, for the team, Bono House, if he is to make it through to the final, it'll be the first time that we see Mercedes in a final in the full season.
It would be, absolutely. I mean, who would have thought that at the start of the season, by the way? You know, 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, whatever it was, who would have thought that? Not me, certainly. But Bono House is the one to do it at the moment. And to be honest, you know, I'll say this with all respect to Bono House, who's won a lot in sim racing, the Vegas Eve races, won multiple championships, multiple times in a row. But I wouldn't have expected him to be the one to get into the final. You'd more expect it from the likes of a James Baldwin or a Marco Pajic, maybe, to get into that final. Not Bono House, but this is one of the best performances I've seen from him in quite some time in ESL R1.
Well, we were having some casual conversations, let's put it that way, in Riyadh about, you know, what the Mercedes have to do, because they were obviously slightly, you know, dare I say it, fairly average at points in there across the entirety of the team. We know that Marco and James have been standout drivers for the squad, and so we were having a little bit of a casual discussion, like, right, what does Mercedes do if they want to go and challenge, you know, higher up in the team's championship? And everyone kind of points fingers at maybe being like, do they have to replace Bono and Graham? And, you know, at the moment, Bono is showing absolutely not so. Highest driver in the championship for the Mercedes-AMG team. So there's that. And there we go. You can see once again confirmation that he's previously won the Formula E Vegas E-race that happened in 2016. Of course, won Formula Racing World Championship in 2010 and 2014. Won the R-Factor 2 Formula Pro Championship. All these ones that we're listing off here, though, as to your point, are open-wheel champions. He does not win often in GTs. His teammate does, though, and is now working his way through on Kevin Siggy.
That was aggressive from Siggy, but I think just about within the bounds of being legal. This is a fight for 10th place, and it's a fight for points, really. They're not going to make it to the final at this rate. Is that a good enough run from James Baldwin, really, to have a go? It might be, as he looks for a top 10. Is he going to be late enough on the brakes in the Mercedes? It will tuck in behind the very tall BMW. Siggy will go on the defensive, and it's a late-braking manoeuvre from James Baldwin right round the outside. A slide on the way in from the red line driver as well. James Baldwin will have the inside for turn 2 and 3. 3, but he'll need to get it done before 4 because that's when the advantage will turn back to Kevin Siggy again. Side by side they go through the Mercedes arena, and it's the Mercedes that prevails through turn 4. Meanwhile, it's not a Mercedes prevailing here. Bono House under big pressure from Josh Rogers, who pushes it wide, and Yuri Tobin will try and go through.
Certainly does. Bonnerhouse having to settle himself, sit in 5th position. His long teammate in Jeffrey Rietveld will be the next one to come through. Those were teammates when Bonnerhouse was winning those 5 World Champs. I was talking about an FSR, so they've known each other for a very long time. Maybe I kind of actually get the feeling that Bono turned left into the side of Josh Rogers on the entry into the corner, so that might have been a little bit of that. Dankler was able to keep it on the road, but I'm sure his heart rate went from being fairly calm to shooting through the roof in quite literally a heartbeat.
Yeah, I think so, because there was a moment there where I thought he was going to be off into the grass and the gravel, and he would be outside the top 6 entirely, because look at how close it is. There's not exactly room for error here. 2 laps to go when they get to the line. Rietveld closes in on Bono House here as well, and he's not really receiving pressure now from Kaki Oliveira. I think Johan Hart is arguably strong enough to try and go through here, but if they start to fight there for that 7th place, then surely the top 6 will get away from the rest of the field. Out through the chicane they go. Look at how close Hart is. Surely if he was able to get through, he would be a bit quicker, but that's going to cost them time.
It kind of disgusts me a little bit. We've got 2 laps left to go, and I think Verasti might be correct that Sebastian Job is going to win this one easily. He's pulled out now to 7/10 of a second. He's running away at the front of the field. Wisniewski obviously with a second over Rogers. It's behind all of that where all the drama and all the battling is. At the moment, Oliveira's not quite close enough to do anything on Rietveld. You've pointed it out exactly. Half been trying to do something about P7 and Oliveira. But at the moment, the only real move, the only proper move that we've seen mid-race, or moves, has been from Baldwin on Siggy around the outside of T1 that gave the inside line through the Mercedes arena section. And of course, that move that we saw the final part of between Rogers and House. We don't know how that one started, which would assume would have been side by side through that Mercedes arena section, leading to them running out down towards turn 5 side by side.
Yeah, I would expect it to have started at turn 1 and gone the way through the Mercedes arena. But a very heart-in-mouth moment for the Mercedes driver, Bono House. He is now 5th. Jeffrey Rietveld 6th, then it's Kaki Oliveira, then Johan Hart as we continue this penultimate lap of the race. Moritz Lerner, James Baldwin, Kevin Siggy and Yuri Kasdorp also not making it as things stand. We've known that for quite some time with Kasdorp. Kevin Siggy beginning to slip from the back of the field as well. James Baldwin showing decent pace, but that slowdown in qualifying has really punished him, as you'd expect it to be. It's just difficult to make up those places, unless, of course, your name is Jeffrey Rietveld, in which case you've made up 4 places so far in this semi-final.
Certainly so. Well, Johan Harvey will be frustrated, but the Apex Racing team will surely be happy they've got at least 2 cars into the final. It could still be 3. We've got 1 final lap to deal with in all of this, but again, the slipstream, the fact that Rietveld's getting that slipstream from House, but Oliveira's getting that slipstream from Rietveld, it's even that, Harper's getting a different slipstream, but it's not really, it's negligible at this point. I wonder if all the drivers working their way through, though, they've definitely seen what Rietveld did in the first lap, and they're thinking, right, let's do everything on lap 1 in the final. Surely we've got to.
It could be interesting, the opening lap of the final. Let's wait and see on that one. Huff was very nearly close enough for a dive there. You saw how close he got to the back of the BMW just in front of him. Is it going to be a little bit of a lunge through the Mercedes arena? I don't think for the Apex Racing team driver. Oliveira just hasn't quite had the pace here, unfortunately, for Furia, and it looks like he is going to get knocked out in the semi-final phase here tonight for round 4. Out through turn 4 they go right now. Oliveira still under that pressure. He sort of seems a bit frustrated with himself, to be honest, but 7th place is still another decent haul of points. I think it will be another 6 points to his name, and that will give him a nice tally for the round overall. He keeps steadily building on those points, and he's well inside the top 24. As things stand, we approach the halfway mark of this season.
Yeah, for Team Redline, for Jeff Rietveld at the moment, we're looking at the first final for him this season. Kaki Oliveira has been in the last 2 finals, so unless things change post-race, maybe Kaki Oliveira is looking for his 3rd consecutive final, but at the moment we'll have to settle for just the 2. Indeed, I'm not sure if anyone's made it through to all of the finals. I think Erhan Yovsky has, but I'm not sure if anyone else has made it through the finals. It's been highly dramatic, isn't it?
Yeah, it has. Toman, maybe? Don't know. Don't think so. Anyway.
Toman has as well, yes, that's right.
Yes, okay. Sebastian Job, so though, is certainly going to be making it through to this final in round number 4. He has won 2 rounds out of 3 so far. Is he going to make it 3 in 4? What an achievement that would be. It's a pretty decent achievement right now for him to win semi-final number 2. Another 25 points and another race win in ESL R1 for Sebastian Job as he makes his way over the line to take his 9th win in ESL R1 history, just half a second in front of Nikodem Wisniewski and Josh Rogers, who joined him on the podium. Sebastian Job will be a favourite once again in another final in ESL R1. Round 4, semi-final number 2, will go to the only G2 esports driver who made it through the knockout stages. He just makes it in front of Nikodem Wisniewski, of course, who makes it into the final as well, Lewis, for Williams Esports. He finished in second despite not feeling entirely